Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I am back with a project share. And this is a junk journal that I made. It's very similar to other junk journals I've done, except the theme of this one is for all the canning and preserving that I do. I take a lot of notes, and then the next year I go to can again and I can't find the notes, or I can't find the book that the recipe was in, or that kind of stuff. So I wanted a place where I could kind of bring that all together. And so even though this is kind of something similar to what I always do, I thought maybe the theme might give some people some ideas of things they could do. It gave me the idea that I might want to do one of these just for baking, and some of the experiments and stuff that I do with baking and recipes like that. So you could use it for any kind of recipe or any kind of thing where you want to keep your notes together. And this one's not super decorated because, like I said, it is very utilitarian. I did put a few October afternoon, I think these are Farm Girl brads here. And then I had this one pin flare button pin that I took the pin back and I put a brad back on it instead. So that just gives me 3 brads here. Eventually I may put a few things on the spine because I did make this so that the recipes come out and you take just that one recipe to the kitchen with you. You don't have to take the whole book because when you're canning, the kitchen is full and there's no room and there's lots of things spilling and sticky things and all that kind of stuff. So that way I can just take the one recipe into the kitchen. And so here's some more October afternoon. I pulled out anything canning, vegetable or kitchen themed, and went through it. So I did this little kind of half page here, and I've left this open to put other photos or some other topic that I might want to put in here. It gives me a little bit of room to grow. I put this October afternoon sticker here, and then some of these others are from just all kinds of different collections where I've pulled out and kept all my canning stuff together. So I just kind of pulled from that. This is just a Project Life card that I put on there. And then I kind of did it by theme. So this could be, you know, like I said, any theme. It could be a baking theme or just a recipe theme. And so I do grow, pick, and I freeze strawberries. And then I also do the strawberry jam. And then I also grow rhubarb. So in here, I used one of these die cuts with the slots to put the actual recipes. And then again, I have some more October afternoon, like journaling cards, ephemera, stickers. And then what I did was at a garage sale, I found a Kerr canning book, and I went ahead and got it so that I could just cut up the recipes out of that book. It was 50 cents, so it was cheaper and less time for me to do that than it would have been for me to like print out, scan, copy, take pictures or whatever of things from that book. From the ball canning book, I only have the one book, so I did have to kind of take copies of the actual book. So I took copies of that. So these are Ball, these are Kerr. And so I've got the strawberry jam recipes from both. I've got freezer jam and strawberry rhubarb jam. And then a totally different preserving book that I had where I had used the spiced strawberry jam recipe. So that way they're all together. I can choose which recipe I want to use and then just bring that one to the kitchen. So that was kind of my thought on this. And then it gives me room on the back that I can do journaling if I want to take notes on, you know, like how many pounds of strawberries made how many pints of jam and all those kind of notes that you wind up taking. Then this section I did like raspberries. I do like the golden raspberry jam, blackberries. I make jam and I freeze them. And then I have the freezer jam, blueberry jam, I do as well. And then over here I've got, this is a copy of my own recipe I had done for blackberry preserve, so I just put a copy of that. Then more raspberry and berry jams. And then all of my plum jam recipes are on this one card. So that way I can just go and pull it out. We have both the regular plums and we have golden plums, so I use both of those. Here I've got some pear things, and pears and cherries. So I've got pear butter, pear preserves. And then over here I've got some pictures of like our cherries. And normally I either freeze them on trays and then vacuum seal them for the freezer, or I dehydrate them for like homemade trail mixes and to use in different kinds of bread recipes and salads and stir fries and things like that. On the cherries also we juice them and make cherry wine. And then I have my cherry jam recipe here. And again, a lot of cut apart cards that I had in my stash, just kitchen papers, things with knives and forks, vegetable papers I pulled out. And then I went into peaches that I freeze and dehydrate. And I've got my peach things on cards. I thought this one was just a cut apart card that was cute, you're a peach, so I put the recipe on the back. And I have a fig tree. Usually I dehydrate it, but I've wanted to try fig jam, so I went ahead and made a card for fig jam, so I want to try that this year. And then I had just an extra little little farm journaling card that I stuck in here for note taking. We do have some citrus trees in our high tunnel, so we juice most of our lemons and then freeze the lemon juice to use all year round. Or I dehydrate the slices to use in tea making or in sprinkles for like marinades and stuff like that. And then I have an orange marmalade recipe. And I just had this extra kind of citrusy card and this citrus paper that I stuck in here. But I love this little paper here and another, I think this is actually a Scraptastic Kit Club back a long time ago when I belonged. So I was able to use that little card and I just put some puffy stickers on here. Again, I pulled out just stickers of grapes. I did plant some grapes from cuttings, so they're finally big enough. They're gonna give me, I hope, a good thing of grapes this year, and we built an arbor for it, so I'm hoping to make grape jelly. I do grow a lot of these ground cherries, which I normally freeze because we eat a lot of them. We throw them in stir fries, in breakfast hashes, on pizzas, nachos, whatever. We put those on there. So I want to try making ground cherry jam. So I've got the recipe for that. For something I want to try. And then just an extra little Farm Fresh card here. And I tried to get mostly double-sided paper. This was one of the few ones that had just a white back on it. On this side, I used this cute little pie paper and put the apples on there and a picture of an apple pie because I do freeze a lot of apple pie fillings. So I put my pie recipe in here because I kind of go by this to make my pie fillings to put in the freezer. And then I also make applesauce and apple butter, and you can see I have a little apple peeler and I do that. And then of course we juice the apples and make cider. So I can put notes and information for that. Did more kitchen themed paper here. More, these are kind of like washi tape stickers I think I got online, probably from Temu a long time ago. And then I get into the tomato section. I have these two Kerr Canning Book recipes for spaghetti sauce. I've used this one quite a bit. Here's some of the spaghetti sauce pictures, because I do have one of those machines that helps me take the peels and, well, I peel them and it helps me take the seeds and stuff out and pulps it and stuff. So there I am just making sauce, and then again, more cut apart cards. stickers. I have this little folder I'd made, a few little things of my salsa recipe. This is a finished chili recipe. Normally I do each ingredient and preserve each ingredient separately and then put it together when I make chili. But I might try this one where it puts it together as a composite, so you have like finished chili in a jar. So I might give that a try. I can a lot of whole tomatoes. Again, just some cut apart cards. And then I do barbecue sauce. And like this was a recipe from 2023 that I had where I said how many pints it yielded for how many pounds of tomatoes and what type of tomatoes and peppers that I used and stuff like that. So this is the kind of thing I would always lose or misplace and never find again. So I'm hoping that I can keep all this stuff together. And these pockets I just made by cutting out a piece of paper, rounding the two bottom corners, and then cutting a little thumb hole in it, and then just using some double-sided tape on the edges. And then these are the recipes for the whole tomatoes. And here I am, I'm making ketchup, I think. Yep, and I have ketchup and then just the Ball canning book recipe for tomato sauce. And then just another, I think this is Cosmo Cricket, I think. Just, I found anything I had that was canning themed. These little puffy sticker here. Here's where I was roasting. I take a lot of the cherry tomatoes and garlic and olive oil and I roast them in pans, and then I freeze the roasted tomatoes. Then we get into the pepper section. For the sweet peppers, I normally just freeze them, and I freeze a lot of them because we eat a lot of them. Some cut apart cards and some stickers. And then with the hot peppers, I either can them like canned jalapenos, or I smoke them in the barbecue, smoke them, and then dry them either in the dehydrator or on screens. And then I, put them in a spice mill and make, powder flakes out of them. So here's some more cut apart cards. And then I just have pickled hot peppers, just how to do like the regular peppers, like hot peppers. And then to make like the cowboy candy, I want to do that this year. A friend gifted me a couple jars using this recipe, and it was awesome. So I'm going to try it myself this year. And then we get into other vegetables, like these are peas. And normally with peas, I freeze them. Actually, I just spent 2 hours shelling peas today and froze some more. And I froze raspberries and I froze strawberries today too. So I also have the how to can peas and carrots. So I have those two recipes, and then just vegetable stock recipe on there. And then, I freeze a lot of carrots, or I root cellar them. And then with the asparagus, I mostly just freeze them. I haven't pickled asparagus. A lot of people like pickled asparagus. I've never tried it. So I don't know, I might give that a try at some point. But normally what I do is I just cut them up and freeze them, and then I can throw them into a stir fry or with some bacon and on top of a baked potato or something like that. And then the corn section here, the dried corns like popcorn. We grow a lot of popcorn. You can see these are shelves with popcorn cobs drying on there. And let's see, these two are dent corn, so that like for corn flour. So I make masa and tamales and tortillas. And this is a green, Oaxaca green corn. And I think we grew this one for the university, and Oregon Public Broadcasting came out and they actually took some footage of it for their Super Abundant program. I don't know. But these are the dried corns. And then these are the sweet corns here that I can and I freeze. And I just have some corn recipes on this little card. This was out of like the dollar bin of Michael's way back in the day, and I still have more of these cards left. So it works good for putting putting recipes in. And again, another, I believe this is another October afternoon. And here, these ones I did glue in instead of putting them on removable cards because they're just freezing information. So I might refer to it, but I don't need to take it into the kitchen with me. So just how to do celery and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Here's another one of those little farm girl stickers. This is kind of the pickles and fermenting. I've got my instructions that I used this year that I got off of ChatGPT for doing the brine and stuff for the olives, because we have some olive trees. And then since we grow onions and dill and peppers and garlic, and I grow the cucumbers, I grow everything to make the pickles. Only thing I have to buy is the vinegar, salt, and the lids for the jars. So once you've got all your supplies, it works pretty well, and it's pretty inexpensive. This is our family recipe for it. And then I have sauerkraut, which I do sometimes. Then these are like quick dills, zucchini pickles, and like refrigerator pickles. Like here I used my little water trap jar there to make refrigerator pickles. So I do those first of all so I can start enjoying them right away in the season. And then again, just more of these little ephemera pieces. Here's some washi tape that's farm related or vegetable related. Then these are more root cellared items, so potatoes and sweet potatoes, winter squash and onions. So I have not tried canning squash. I usually just kind of root cellar it, but yeah, maybe this year I will do that. I have canned potatoes, you can see there. I have a machine that'll peel them all, so it's not so bad to do the work. So both red and white potatoes, and then in the greenhouse in the high tunnel we'll do sweet potatoes. So I've got that, and then with the nuts, we've got almonds, hazelnuts, walnuts, and then more root cellared items like shallots. These are like drying racks of shallots, lots of garlic, because we actually sell garlic seed. Garlic seed producer is one of the things we do. And then in the spring we have to cut all the flower stalks off the garlic, and those are called scapes, and the stem that the flower wants to grow on. So they're actually edible and everything. So I wash up and cut and freeze garlic scapes for stir fries and stuff. And then at the end of the season, I root cellar a bunch of the garlic. But at the very end, when it just starts it's going to sprout, and I don't want to waste any of it, I will roast all the rest of the garlic that I have. And here you can see I've roasted it and squeezed it out onto this tray, and I'll freeze it. And then I have roasted garlic frozen and ready to go. This is my bean section. So I've got just how to do the green beans. And let's see, I've got a little bit of ephemera, some jar paper. And then here is for canning dried beans. I grow a lot of dried beans, orca beans, those like Norwegian or Swedish beans that I can't remember, Orland, something like that. Beefy Grex beans, yellow eye beans, and some of them I keep dried, but some of them I like to can. Mostly I like to can because then they're already cooked and ready to go. I don't have to worry about soaking dry beans and cooking them and all the time involved in prepping the beans to be used. They're already like prepped for you. And then we do eat meat in this household, so I have here for canning, this is like canning venison or any kind of meat. And I also do the beef stock. If we get, our neighbors will raise our beef for us. So, And then we supply like all our corn stalks and all our leftover apples and stuff like that. So when I get the beef, I do make the beef stock. Try not to waste anything. And then the rest of it we freeze. And the same way with the chickens. I have neighbors that do chickens, so I usually get my whole chickens from them, but I will can the chicken and make chicken stock. So I have, again, recipes for that and recipes for the chicken stock. And then I also have in here, sometimes if a friend or somebody brings back a bunch of tuna from Alaska or Alaskan salmon or whatever, can that. So it just depends on if we can get a deal from a friend who's coming back or not. This was just an extra thing I had for note taking. I like this little chicken paper, and I have some little chicken stuff. And I had quite a few things that were like beef related. So got to use all those. And again, another one of these slotted die cuts with herbs and spices. So I make spice blends and put them in bottles. How to make the elderberry tea, some of the seasoning blends, the pesto that I'll make and put in the freezer, because I grow a lot of basil each year, usually one whole raised bed of just basil. And then a lot of it I dry, like dried mint for tea, and Mexican tarragon and lavender and marshmallow. This is Thai basil. Oh, and for the base of my teas, when I make tea blends, I start with Yupon, which is this plant. It's the only native plant in the Americas that has caffeine in it. So I roast it and dry it, and I use that kind of as a base for my green teas instead, you know, the non-herbal. Well, I mean, it's herbal, but I have herbal teas without caffeine, and then for a caffeine tea, I use this. There's some elderberries. I have little tea bags that I'll put stuff in and make my own tea blends. Then I've got stuff like lovage and bergamot, rosemary, sage, oregano, thyme, all the culinary herbs, chamomile and stuff. And then at the very, very back, I put this, which is like the lists of each year. I keep a kind of a running list of what I've done. So that way I can look back, like this year I ran out of sweet peppers in the freezer. So I looked back to see how many I had done, and then I did more of them this year. Now I have not run out of them yet. I think I have 4 bags left. So I think that's about right. So I will, I'll have more peppers by the time I run out of the frozen ones. So I will do about the same amount in 2025 that I did in 2024. So these are, again, the kind of notes that, yeah, I just don't want to lose, and I want to keep all together. And then it's got this, again, plastic thing on the back. And so, like I said, it's kind of utilitarian. There's not a lot of, you know, fancy stuff or anything here. I did do some sewing on all the pockets to close the pockets. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty basic. I was almost not gonna show it at all, but I thought it might give a few ideas to somebody maybe. So anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions on anything, please feel free to comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.